Live from the American Gulf Coast, it's the Dave Nemo Show.
We're going to welcome Steve Schmidt to the program. One of our sponsors, of course, Genesis Fuel, the folks who bring you digital diesel. No, that's not to power your computers, but he'll explain what that is if you don't already know. And a lot of folks already know, and they're already enjoying the benefits of digital diesel. One of the things we talked about a little bit earlier on the program was something called IMO 2020, and Steve's going to talk a little bit about that as well and how it can affect you and what you can do about it. One thing, though, I do want to say is that at the moment we are out of the warnings in terms of the severe weather here in the New Orleans area, but there is abundant street flooding already in New Orleans itself. So be aware if you're making any deliveries here in the New Orleans area to call ahead to see what the street flooding situation is. Steve Schmidt from Genesis Fuel, the folks who bring you digital diesel, is going to be with us here in just a moment. Now, we're going to talk to Steve Schmidt. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Dave. How are you doing?
Doing great, and it's great to have you with us, and great to have you guys with us as a sponsor. And I know that a lot of things have happened since we last spoke back in March, right in front of and at Mid-America. And we're going to get to some news, and we're going to get to some of the things that you're looking at in terms of IMO 2020. But before we do that, and to get into some of the details about what's happening at Genesis Fuel Corporation and digital diesel, Steve, why don't you kind of remind our listeners what the heck digital diesel is? Maybe you can say it better than I can.
Well, David, first of all, we want to actually say it's a pleasure being back in your show. Thank you very much for having us. Going into digital diesel, what is digital diesel? It's a service that provides owner-operators, carriers, and 3PL companies the ability to reserve the right to secure the diesel fuel at today's market price and redeem it for actual fuel in the future at that locked-in market price, regardless of where that pump price goes. The price is honored as long as there's a balance on their contract, and I want to reiterate that since this is a gallon-to-gallon exchange, 1 gallon of digital diesel equals 1 gallon of actual diesel. The amount of diesel listed in the contract is guaranteed regardless of the pump price at exchange. We actually store the digital diesel online in an account we establish for our customers, and these gallons of digital diesel can be redeemed at the pump for actual diesel use. And the owners actually have 100% complete control of how they want to allocate that. They want to allocate it on 1 card, 4 cards, 9 cards, however they want to allocate it. That's fully up to them. And it is, and our card is being used at over 9,800 truck stop locations across the lower 48.
Wow. Okay, so that is quite a network, and no matter where you are in the lower 48, you got a guy someplace with a pump that can change digital diesel into liquid diesel, I guess you might say.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's a perfect, very easy and understand. Even I can understand it. And because it kind of threw folks when you say digital diesel, what in the world is that? Well, it's pretty simple. It really is a great idea. What exactly has been going on with Genesis Fuel Corporation and digital diesel since we did speak back in March in Louisville?
Well, since we last spoke, we've had a lot going on. Thank you for all your listeners and our customers. We've actually had a tremendous response to digital diesel as a whole. Particularly at Match, where we were able to talk with a lot of your drivers and your listeners about digital diesel. As a result of those conversations, we've made some adjustments to our program. We've added a feature that we think that your listeners will actually find very interesting. First, due to some of the excellent feedback from your listeners, and again, by the way, we really think that you have some really smart, business-savvy listeners out there. We were actually
We
able
do.
to learn from them, and better rationalize and adjust their service to find much more attractive average fixed cost to them. What we found out is this approach enables to offer the service at even lower average state price than what we were actually offering before. And depending on the current market price, would even put more profit in the pockets of the trucking companies or the 3PLs or owner operators who elect to leverage digital diesel.
Wow.
Also from that program adjustment, we were actually able to uncover other opportunities to help even carriers even further by giving them the ability to lock in diesel price on an individual fuel location. And again, that's very important since some of your drivers actually run the same lanes again and again.
Yeah.
So with that, if a driver has a fixed lane and utilizes the same fuel locations day to day, why should they actually pay a that statewide price of what we're looking at when they actually could refine it just for those couple stations that they're filling up at from day in, from day out?
Wow, that's pretty cool. So it's sort of customized person to person in a sense.
Exactly. And even above and beyond being able to go out there and customize it based upon those locations, we actually also secured a couple partner agreements that we're really happy with and really excited about. We actually secured some discount programs for those drivers that don't have discounts. We actually have secured some discounts for them through Sap Brothers Travel Centers and all Roadies truck stops across the country. This actually means that the drivers will be able to apply these discounts already with their locked-in price, and they'll actually get additional benefit, additional capital, and money back in their pocket when they actually use their digital diesel fixed cost rate.
Wow. So it sounds to me like when you put all of this together, you can really have some significant fuel cost savings.
Exactly. And that's really important because we really think that, our program and what we could offer is a program that really is long overdue. There's so much information, and I know before we jumped on the air, we were just talking about all the changes that are going on in the trucking industry and everything else that's going on. And even with the pending, the IMO, the International Maritime Organization of 2020, the initiative mandate all ocean shipping, to reduce their sulfur emission. Ken, that's going to have a huge impact on the diesel industry and the gas pump in general, where we're going to be able to, they're predicting a rise in fuel price as much as 50 cents a gallon of diesel across the board. And again, we actually have, and with that, coupled with the state increases that we've already noticed and we've already seen, some of the states already inputting, again, it's having a major impact on on the trucking industry as a whole.
Yes, with shipping going from the so-called bunker fuel, which has 3.5 weight% of sulfur, they're going to 0.5% of sulfur, which is huge. That's an 80% decrease in sulfur, which means the refineries are really going to have some pressure on them, which means that everybody from airlines to trucking to somebody with a diesel-powered pickup truck is going to be paying more for diesel. One of the things and that's going to last for a few years before it all kind of, evens out a little bit if it ever does. But one of the things, too, that you point out, and we've pointed out every time it's happened here on the program, more states are increasing fuel taxes at the pump, which obviously adds to the price. So there's the left hand, and then the right hand is coming with that IMO 2020.
Exactly. And there's a lot of articles that are out there that we've actually been doing research on, and the conversations we've actually had with a lot of the owner operators and and some of the small fleet carriers, and even even larger carriers. And again, what we've noticed is most of them are aware of the IMO 2020, but many of them actually really don't understand why it's such a big deal and why it's going to impact their.
Yeah, you don't connect the dots, between a ship heading from China to L.A. and a truck heading from Phoenix to Denver. You don't connect the dots. Well, you connect one dot. You connect the fact that you might be hauling something out of L.A. to Topeka, and it came off a ship, but there's another dot there that all of a sudden now is has going to have a big impact on your fuel tanks.
Exactly, and with those dots connecting, I mean, it's a lot of the people out there are going to think that they're going to be able to make it up in the fuel surcharge. But with that and spot rates on the decline, and even some of these brokers are undercutting these contracts with existing carriers are out there because the spot rates are falling. It's actually turned around and hurting a lot of these owner operators, or a lot of these small fleet companies that are out there. So having the ability to be able to go out there and say, you know what, I locked in my price. I know my price went up, but I've already secured my contracts. I've already secured my digital diesel. I've already know that my cost is going to be a guaranteed cost. Then when everyone else is going up there, they're going to be in a nice, strong position. And it's going to really position themselves really well across the board to be able to ride out that initial first tsunami wave that's going to be coming.
Yeah, because you don't want to have to depend on somebody else in a negotiation to affect your bottom line. That's a full-time job, exactly. And that requires some great expertise to be able to negotiate that kind and that level of transaction, because that's a lot of money we're talking about in terms of what fuel costs and how much people use. So locked in is something that it's irreplaceable.
Yeah, exactly. We're coming upon the time with the IMO coming in that a good defense is going to be a great offense, and it's going to be able to give those companies that chance to be able to ride out that initial point. So again, what we think is regardless of if they are checking out digital diesel or not, we do strongly encourage everyone out there to educate themselves on the IMO 2020 so they can make sure that they're taking the necessary steps to protect their overall business. So again, we think it's important for them to do it, and we think we're the perfect avenue for them to actually be able to protect their business and give them that strong, great defense.
Yeah, there's not a sense of urgency right now, but there will be come the end of the year when January 1st is like next week, and that's the way the human psyche works. We know that the ELD mandate goes into effect in January. I think it's January 6th or so. And the FMCSA is just urging people, don't wait to get that A board transmitted or transitioned into an ELD. If it can be with software, make sure you do it now rather than later so you avoid the crunch. There is going to be a fuel crunch. So what if a carrier is currently under a short-term contract or even a long-term contract with a shipper? Can you guys help that person?
Yeah, when he's under a short-term contract, he's under a long-term contract. Again, if they're securing that contract or they're already in that contract and they already know what their cost is, again, let's talk about short-term. Let's talk about something that needs to be fulfilled in 2-3 months or something that he's looking at a longer term. Think about it. If you could go out there and secure your price off of today's fuel, lock it in, and actually use it when that first IMO hit, that first change hits or these state pricing are going to affect, you already know that you're locked in at that set price again. So it's going to go overall that you go, okay, well, I know there were some adjustments, but we're all set. We're locked in. We know that we're going to be able to turn around and ride out that contract without it hitting our bottom line across the board.
One of the things that we hear so often in any industry, but we deal in transportation and trucking, and it happens with the infrastructure bills and other bills, uncertainty is the biggest enemy of business because you can't deal with uncertain numbers. Numbers are numbers, and they have to add up, they have to subtract, they have to equal something, and they have to eventually arrive to a positive bottom line. And so you guys really offer that like nobody else does. I mean, so going in what your fuel costs, and now you can really negotiate with us with a very strong position on other things. Yeah. You don't have to negotiate the fuel,
Exactly. You're gonna take that largest variable cost that the trucking industry has, and you're gonna now be able to move it into a fixed cost. And when you're going out there and you're going out there to try to bid for a contract, and you go, okay, you know what, this is, I know where my costs are going to be. I know exactly, what my maintenance cost is going to be, what my fuel cost is going to be. It's going to actually be able to put you in a stronger position to be able to go out there and negotiate a contract, knowing that what that contract is going to be, what your overhead is going to be, and what your bottom line profit line is going to be. It's just a win-win situation. And then for the shipper, the person that's actually on the opposite end of the contract, they're going to be able to go back to their board from a shipping that they're shipping away 6 or 8 months or 9 months down the road, and they know they have a set price across the board for their shipping, that they're not going to come back out there and they're not going to actually have to renegotiate a contract because, again, fuel went up by 50 cents, and those truckers are coming back out there and they're saying, well, we need to renegotiate a contract. So really, digital diesel is a great win-win situation, not only for the trucking industry but for the shipping industry also.
Digital diesel. But when you call you guys at Genesis, you're not going to be talking to a digital thing. You're going to be talking to a human being, and it's a one-on-one personal walkthrough. Kind of tell us what happens when someone picks up the phone, gives you guys a call, and we'll give out the number here in just a minute. But I'm calling, it's ringing, somebody answers. What happens?
Sure. So when they call in, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go out there and help them custom build that contract based upon their needs. Okay. Do we need to go statewide? Do we need to go location wide? Do we need to go regional wide? And from there, we're going to be able to go out there and for some of our clients, they actually have multiple contracts where maybe they are actually shipping out 60% of their business to the East Coast and 20%, down south, and then the remaining off the West Coast there. So we could actually custom build those contracts based upon any of the customer's needs across the board. And we could always custom build it based upon now individual station locations. But again, also, if you want to do a state location or a certain carrier location, we could actually go out there and help custom build it across the board. Once that is out there, then we actually will go out there. How many gallons of digital diesel do you want to reserve? And from there, we would actually be able to finalize the contract, get them those contracts, and then, in essence, ship them the card. And the great thing about our cards, again, I want to reiterate, is some of our own personal network with, Stapp Brothers and with Roadies. And again, we're in the negotiations with a couple others to actually go out there and give discounts where maybe those truck drivers didn't have those discounts before. They're also going to be able to take care of advantage of those discounts no matter what, because they are part of the Genesis Fuel network and the digital diesel family.
Understood. So, one of the things that we hear so much in terms of the trucking industry, and it has become a battle cry through the decades, one size does not fit all. And we hear that so much about hours of service and all of the other issues that trucking has. And you guys are definitely not a one-size solution. You take each individual contract that those people might make and just customize it all the way down to the nth degree. That is awesome.
Yeah, and we're excited about being able to do that because everybody's business is a little bit different, how they run their business, and we wanted to make sure that it was going to give the biggest bang for the buck for that small guy, that owner-operator, those larger companies out there based upon their needs. We wanted to make sure that we gave them the ability to be able to custom those contracts out for their business use, but also make sure that those owners or those people who actually have the contracts, they still have 100% control of their digital diesel as a whole. So that was always an important factor. So they actually know they're going to be able to use it when they want. Digital diesel has no expiration on it. So again, if they want to secure it now for a contract that they're going to be securing 6 months from now, because again, they're afraid of that rising price, they could lock it in now and know that price is going to be guaranteed. They're going to be able to go out there and they're going to be able to, again, go out there and negotiate stronger contracts across the board.
Steve, before we run out of time, something else is coming up, and that is GATS in Dallas. And you've got and I really want to thank you on behalf of our listeners for the introductory offer for folks out there.
Yeah, so let me tell you about what's going on. So right now, because of the IMO change and the state pricing change, kind of across the board, we actually want to make sure that we are building strong relationships with our partners and the people that have already taken advantage of digital diesel. So we are giving a 10% discount on our digital diesel, regardless of the amount that they want to reserve. So that's actually going to be able to go out there and, for those customers that, hey, this sounds great. What's the catch? We also want to make sure that we're building a stronger relationship and a stronger partnership with anyone that wants to be part of digital diesel, the Genesis Fuel family. So we're giving them that nice little discount all the way up to and through GATS. Of what we're looking at. All they have to do is just mention your name that they heard about us in the Dave Nemo show, and then we're going to make sure that we actually get that discount applied too.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Steve. Looking forward to seeing you in Dallas. And oh boy, all of a sudden it's next month. And thank you so much for a real good primer on digital diesel and a good, I hate to say warning, but let's just say a word to the wise about IMO 2020, which is coming, and it's not going to turn back. That boat is going to dock. Steve, thank you so much. I'm going to give out all the contact info right now.
Very good, David. So if anyone wants to go to our website, it is www.genesisfuel.com. You can check us out, or then you could always give us a call at our office number, which is 475-234-3735. And that is actually 475-234-2-DIESEL.
Or you can go to radionemo.com, go to the sponsors page, and click on Genesis Fuel. It'll take you right there. But the number is 475-234-3735. DaveNemo.com. I'm sorry, radionemo.com. Click on Genesis Fuel on our sponsors page.